Hi, and welcome to another episode of From Tale to Cocktail. My name is Leonardo,
And my name is Henrik.
and today we're going to talk about something that we basically don't speak so much about in general in the whiskey world.
Mhm.
A lot of people they speak about American whiskey because, of course, we're going to talk about American whiskey, but they mainly talk about two whiskeys that are, of course, bourbon and rye, and sometimes even Tennessee whiskey.
Yes. I mean, don't get me started about the difference between bourbon and Tennessee whiskey. We'll have to do that in
Yeah,
another
we'll take
episode.
that box and
It'll take too long time. Yeah. Cool.
So basically, Hendrik, how many subcategories of whiskey are there in the US?
So if you really count all of them, there are 35, which is sort of ridiculous. But I mean,
Official,
they're
right?
official.
Yes.
Yes. But of course, some of them are sort of, they have about five or six base different whiskeys in the US. And of course, one of them that we're going to talk about today is what Leonardo says, a whiskey type that you don't talk about a lot, I guess.
Yeah.
And that is corn whiskey. And do you know what corn whiskey is?
Well, I know it's I can assume, because I don't remember it 100%, but I can assume that it's 51% minimum of corn in the production of this whiskey.
Wrong.
You see?
Okay. So do you want to carry on or?
No, you go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, so corn whiskey. Now, we actually do have one example here, which is the one we're going to use today, Mellow Corn, which is, and I know if you haven't seen this before, you're probably going to look at the label. Was this made in the 70s? I don't know, what do you think?
It looks like something made under slavery.
Yes, I think exactly. I think that the guys that designed this label just said, we're just never gonna change it because we can, right? We can never change it. So that's pretty amazing. So corn whiskey. So the base rules are that it needs to contain 80% corn or more. It can be 100%, but at least 80%. And then what makes it very special compared to bourbon, for instance, it cannot be aged in new barrels. It has to be aged in used barrels. But it can actually also be aged in steel tanks, which is the only whiskey type in the US where you don't have to age it in wood, corn whiskey. And, corn whiskey that has been aged in steel tank obviously has no color. And a lot of people refer to that as moonshine. But it is in fact corn whiskey. And then this specific one here, this is actually made from 100% corn, I believe. Maybe a little bit of barley. I'll need to figure that one out. But it's also what is called a bottled in bond product. And that means that it is a minimum 4 years old. It is exactly 100 proof, which is 50% alcohol. And then there are a few more rules that we can maybe go into in another episode. And this one specifically is made by the company called Heaven Hill that makes a lot of different products, including Elijah Craig, Evan Williams, Larceny, Rittenhouse, etc., etc., etc.
Big house.
Yeah, exactly. And this one here is actually readily available in most places in the world and also here in Europe where we are. Here in Denmark where we are, it's about 200 kroner, which is about actually 25 euros.
I think it's even a bit more, but
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
you can give. But
I
think
got this on sale for
Yeah.
199. Yeah, cool.
But yeah, basically flavor wise, like I haven't. Well, I tried it, but we're not trying it right now. We will, but as I recall, it's a bit sweet compared to a bourbon. Is this always the case in a corn whiskey that they
Yes.
are sweeter than bourbons and rye?
Yes, almost
like saint.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, almost always the case. It is sweeter. Bourbon itself is sweet, but this is also a little bit sweeter. But it doesn't have this, bourbon, vanilla, caramel, brown sugar, and all that. It's not as predominant in corn whiskey because it's always aged in used barrels or even in steel tanks. So that's why the normal thing you think when you drink American whiskey is not always there in corn whiskey.
Yeah, because basically it comes more from the corn itself.
Yes, exactly. And corn is relatively sweet, so that actually makes completely sense. Cool. So, are you gonna make a cocktail on this?
Yeah, I'm gonna make a cocktail, and I'll be honest with you. I could wing it, which I'm gonna do actually, but I could lie to you and say I prepared the best cocktail because you're not tasting it with us. So before we started this episode, Henrik gave me the bottle, and it had been some years. I had to smell it, and we have a lot of bitters on the table. And I said, I think I can make it work with these two bitters. Now, I won't tell which bitters I chose. You'll see that soon enough. But I just hope it tastes good so far. All the drinks I've made have made Henrik happy.
So did you just make a very scientific explanation of you actually gonna wing it? That's basically what you did, right? That's what I heard.
Well, yeah, basically.
Yeah,
I could
exactly.
bullshit. You'd said that no, but I did. I had to smell a lot of bitters, smell the whiskey. Yeah.
All right. Do you want to make a cocktail right now?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Okay. So then I will just switch the camera over to Leonardo here.
So, also the mic. Great, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to make an old-fashioned on mellow corn. Like I said, mellow corn, or in this case corn whiskey, is a bit more sweet. So we have to work with around that. And I'm going to make 2 cocktails, so all the measurements will be double. I will say it for you, like the right measurements, but I'm going to pour it double. So right now, I'm thinking that whiskey-wise, I will need between 6.5 and 7 CLs because of what I'm going to use next to it. I'm going to start with the base of the old-fashioned, which is, in my case, cane sugar. And I don't want to overpour it with this because I'm also going to use liquid sugar. And I can see at the color that the liquid sugar I have also is made by cane sugar, correct?
Correct.
Yes. So I do it by hand here. Basically what I'm using is 1 teaspoon of sugar. And I use this always, even though I use sugar water in like maybe 80% of my recipes, I use sugar water. What I would do here is I always want my sugar to be wet. And wet with what? With the bitters. Now in this case, like I said, it was like I was just trying to see what worked. And I don't know if this will work. I just have an idea that it will by smelling or getting the aromas of the whiskey. Especially, of course, the corn is very present. So I thought, okay, what can give it a good balance? Now, 1, orange. So let's find the orange. And second, and I will say I even thought about plum bitters, but I decided it was too risky. So what's the next one? We will find walnuts. Walnuts, there it is. Black walnut bitters. Now why? Because this is the one that has the biggest contrast without being too far away. Because the plum bitters could be something that would make the whiskey over dominate. So remember I'm making for 2. So I'm going to add 2 dashes per serve. So that was 4 dashes. And I can see this doesn't deliver that much, so I may actually add a bit more dashes. Because it's different when you use Angostura, you get like 4 dashes of that. So I'll be using 4 of orange. No, actually I'll use 3 to start with. So now I added 6 in total because 2 serves. And again, right now, the only thing I can work with right now is the aromas. So I can only like get the aromas of the things, and I know in what direction I'm going. Because what I'm looking for is that something is not over dominating. Next part, ice, of course. And here, if you ask how much ice, basically you want to fill up the glass. So it melts, but not too quickly, because this is really a work between water, bitters, sugar, and whiskey. I think I'll try with 6.5. It makes most sense in my head. So we'll see. 6.5 of whiskey, that means all the way up here, times 2. And 1 here. And already now you can see that I have a lot of liquid, and I don't want that, because else basically what happens is it melts too fast. I want to control how fast it goes. And remember, I still need to add sugar, so we will have more liquid. Actually, I was speaking to a friend, and he couldn't get that I would use typically just on, what was it, 6 cocktails, I would use almost 2 kilos of ice cubes. It's like, what? How? I said, yeah, you need to stir it. And per serve, 1 cl of sugar. How strong is your sugar water?
50-50.
50-50. All right, I may add actually a bit more. No, I will keep it at 1 for one reason, because the mellow corn is already pretty sweet. Now, when it comes to our peel, because we will use a peel for our drink, and a lot of times people use orange peels, and they do it to get the aroma when they serve the drink. But what will happen is that the original recipe was actually with lemon peel. Like way back in the 80-20s, 80-30s, what was the most common thing would be that actually you would use lemon. It was something that you started using later on, that orange was actually the norm. But in the beginning, it was actually lemon peels. Now you can see already now, we have a lot of ice. And the way you know you've stirred enough, if you want to look for it like technically, is that if it starts to be too easy to move, and it's like too floating, you already are there. Either you need to add more, but in most cases, you are there. And I can't say how long you need to do it, because it's about technique. I use, as you can see, the glass here, the spoon, all the way in here, and then all the way down, and stir quickly. But you don't want to take the mic away so it doesn't make so much noise. Thank you, Henrik. And to be fair, this time I have no chance of trying this. I don't know how it will work. So I'll do this so we're not all screwed up. I said I would use these 2 bitters. I actually changed my mind slightly. Yeah, I know. So I'll add a bit more sugar, because that he made 50-50. I don't use 50-50. I actually make more like 70-30 when I make my sugar water. So I'm going to add a bit more sugar. And when I say a bit more, I added 1 per serve. I'm going to add, so we have 1.5 per serve. And I'm going to go with the one thing that I really didn't want to go with, but I was intrigued to do it anyways. And I did it anyways now. I'm going to use the plum bitters.
Ooh.
This can break the cocktail, and we'll have shitty cocktails. But I'm not going to add much. I'm going to add 2 dashes. That's it. Because I just wanted that underlying note of plum. And I'm going to stir it hard so it just keeps underneath. I don't want it to overcome or overtake the flavor. And now you're going to have to trust me.
Okay.
So, again.
Yeah, if you pause 1 second, I'll get your strainer.
All right. So, we'll use our strainer here. And like I said, I haven't done this old-fashioned before. It was on the spot, basically. And we'll see if Hendrik approves. So the big question is, when do you know, like, if you want to use lemon or orange? Because like I said, the original recipe, before it was even called an old-fashioned, when it was called the whiskey cocktail or whiskey cocktail, was actually lemon. Now, I can say only this. It's determined by the whiskey. Nothing else. The whiskey determines what kind of garnish you want to use. If you really want to go to the next level when it comes to old-fashioned, it is all about what the whiskey tells you. Nothing else. So in this case, for me, the mellow corn, in most cases, I used orange. But in this case, I just felt, and I just flavor-wise, aroma-wise, made sense to use the lemon. So I'm going to use lemon because, like I said before, it's the one that makes the most sense with the mellow corn. So without further ado, we go back and sit down.
Alrighty then. I'm excited. Thank you. And we see we have some really nice big cubes in here,
Yes,
which is also
homemade.
important. Homemade by yours truly. Yes.
Yeah, and I said to Hendrik, I'm not going to use plum bitters. I did it anyways.
Yes. And plum bitters, it smelled to me like chewing gum.
Yeah, like chewing gum, basically.
Yeah.
It's very strong, so you have to be careful.
Okay, let's see it.
Yes.
So, cheers. Very nice. Oh, super easy to drink.
Yeah.
Oh, this is dangerous. Oh my god. This is very dangerous. This is like
And you taste the plum like almost subconsciously.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like if I didn't tell you, you would never get that it was there.
I can barely taste this alcohol in this one, which is wow, that's insane. Not completely true, of course, but you know what I mean, right? It's really, really easy to drink this one. And we are talking about 6 to 7 centiliters. So that's 2 ounces and a bit of 50% alcohol whiskey in this one. 100 proof. Wow. So one of these and you can drive your car, basically. Done. Boom. Yeah, so take your bike.
Yeah, I took the bus. I didn't actually.
You took the bike. And you were completely sweaty when you came here. Yeah, but I'm not used to driving my bike. Yeah, right.
But no car. That's the point.
Exactly. Yeah. How can you live in Copenhagen and not be used to biking? I mean, come on. Yeah. Okay, don't answer. Don't answer. Yeah.
But basically, hopefully, I would say it worked.
It definitely worked.
So to sum it up, we had orange bitters that really come through here. Walnut bitters also really present. And mellow corn, it's sweet, so you don't want to oversweet it. Like the first sip I got, I was like, okay, it just needs a bit more sugar. And I want to clarify something about sugar because a lot of people get this wrong when it comes to whiskey and when it comes in general to cocktails. What sugar does, especially when we talk about something that is so dry, because this is a dry cocktail. When we are working with spirits at this level, the sugar is there to actually help enhance flavors, not take away. So that means you don't want to add too much, but you also want to not add too little, because if you add too little, it just becomes irrelevant.
Right.
You really want to bring out those flavors, but at the same time, you don't want to overpower them with sugar.
Yeah, and especially the simple syrup, the wet sugar that Leonardo used. I literally just use 50%, in my case, cane sugar, as you noted, because of the color, but it can also be normal white sugar, and 50% water, and then I just shake the bottle for like 5 minutes, put it in the fridge, and that's it. You could also boil it.
Yeah.
Some do that, but I've sort of changed it to just shaking it for 5-10 minutes, and then in the fridge. That works.
Yeah, my bartenders, they actually just blend it.
Lebanon? Oh, right.
But
yeah.
it's also because they have to make like 4, 5, 6, 7 liters of sugar water. So
fair enough. Yeah.
they blend it. But I actually I boil it.
You boil it, yeah.
But yeah, there you have it. I don't know. You want to add something to mellow corn?
Yes, so I think so. This is interesting.
Yeah, actually, we didn't even try it.
No, so maybe we could try it neat.
It's great.
Yes. Do you want to give it a real quick try? I think we have a.
Yeah,
we have to have a glass.
We usually do this first, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Do me a small pour. This one. Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't say it's something that I would normally pick out to just sip neat, but maybe let's see. So.
Now, I would say like one thing that comes to mind when I try this in general is that if I had to convince somebody who drinks rum to start drinking whiskey, this could be a go-to whiskey. Especially if you're more accustomed to like these sweet rums.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's the direction you could start someone with.
Yes. I mean, I think this could be a gateway whiskey for people that haven't tried it before.
I wouldn't make it a gateway if you're like if you love Scotch.
No,
this
no,
is
this is not for you. If you like Scott, this is repeat not for you. You should get a really good bourbon or rye whiskey in that case if you want to try something else. But if you're not into whiskey at all, this could be
Yeah.
fun, right? And I think if you really want to introduce someone to American whiskey, actually whiskey at all, that are not really drinking whiskey, I mean, if you ever try this one, Michter's Unblended American, it's one of my favorite whiskeys in the entire world because it is so easy to drink, and I just enjoy when I have friends over. Friends that are a little bit skeptical about whiskey and maybe American whiskey. They all pick this out as something that they really like, and you like it too, right?
yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I think I love the brand. I think to this day I haven't tried one whiskey that was bad from this brand.
Yeah, Michter's, they're killing it at the moment, so absolutely amazing. So I would think this one, of course, together with Mellow Corn, could be a couple of products. Mellow Corn obviously being the cheaper of the two, but this is really a phenomenal product.
But yeah, we were speaking about making a whiskey sour episode.
Yes, I mean, now having even drunk it neat, it's been a while. I think we should make an episode next where we do different whiskey sours.
Yeah.
I mean, whiskey sour on corn whiskey, a whiskey sour on the more classic bourbon or even rye, and maybe a New York sour.
So why should people drink? Because we didn't even say this.
Why
Even though
people
we
should drink?
No, yeah, why should? Because you need to drive. No, that's too long. No, you should drink. If you have a Tesla, you can drink.
Or you can just fall asleep. Did you read that news? I mean, about the guys that fell asleep at 80 miles an hour, 140 kilometers an hour, whatever. Oh my God! Did you read that?
Yeah.
Oh my God! What the hell? Sorry.
That's a smart car.
Super smart car. But maybe do not try this at home thing. Okay.
But did you like the Mellow Corn? We didn't even speak about the Mellow Corn.
Yes.
First
So,
time.
yeah, actually. So I think the nose on the Mellow Corn is it is sweet as you would imagine. It's very, very corn forward, which is no surprise. It's literally 100% corn, or close to 100% corn. And the taste.
I think the issue with this whiskey is that it's compared to the other whiskeys we tried, it's actually very
It's a little bit one-dimensional. This is not, for me, this is not a harmonic whiskey, but it's a very approachable though. It's not complex, which is not necessarily bad. I mean, complex doesn't have to be good always, right? But it is one-dimensional for me, very, very much corn forward, which is obviously no surprise.
yeah. Basically, what I wanted to say also, it's just like you said, one dimensional, but it's something more that you would mix in this case.
Yeah.
Like compared to the unblended American whiskey.
Yeah. Yes.
That is actually a thing that you would drink neat and really
This
enjoy.
one you can drink neat all day long, and it's phenomenal in cocktails. Whereas I think Mellow Corn, you have a point. It's more a cocktail whiskey, right?
Yeah, it's more a cocktail. It's more like a mixture beverage. It's not because it's not so challenging. I think that's where I want to go.
Yeah.
Cool. So with that, thank you for watching.
Yes.
It was a
And
pleasure.
See you in the next episode.
Yes.
Thanks,
cheers.
guys.
Um,